Well, it's that time of year again. We got car shows, we got cruise nights, we got all kinds of things going on. The weather's nice, but your project probably looks like this. It's got weeds growing around it. It's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. It's Tuesday, so that's kind of what's been on my mind is projects. Now, I got no room to talk. I got projects everywhere, but there's some things I've learned the older I've got, and about projects and how to pick projects and maybe how to sell a project. So a lot of people say, well, it's still been sitting there. Obviously they don't want it. They ought to sell it to me. Now, like I said, I got no room to talk, but it's something to think about. How long has that thing been sitting since you last worked on it? Take this, for example. I got a 41 GMC. I put school bus axles underneath it. It's got a DT 466, big diesel motor in it. But I've already cut a tree out of it once because it's been sitting here so long. And all I got to do is finish it. In reality, it's been here a lot longer than all these other projects. You see them memes, it's like my car sitting there crying, seeing me pull in another shit box to work on. And it's true a lot of times, but it comes to a point when you get so many projects that maybe you ought to think about selling some. Yeah, you really like it, and sometimes I need to practice what I preach about this, but you got to remember, in a lot of things, life's not just about you. So in reality, you got something cool, but you're never really going to get the means to do it, or maybe it's too big of a project, kind of like this, full frame up, that, if you're honest with yourself, yeah, it would be cool, but I don't really have the means to do it right now, and someone else could really enjoy something like this. But it goes another end of the spectrum is, if you have a project and you're not really ready for it, don't completely tear it apart. Well, I'm going to completely restore the interior, paint, all that stuff. I've never painted a car. I've never done upholstery. I don't even know what goes into that, but I'm going to tear it apart even though I got a barely running, driving, complete car, or truck. Don't do that. I've learned the hard way. I used to do that with my projects. I completely tear them apart. I got all these big plans with zero in my bank account. So just some things to take into consideration. But the same goes with the project. Say you really want a 57 wagon. Now, you found some, but they are completely rusted out, and yeah, they may be a cheaper deal, or they ain't got a title or whatever, but you need to take a lot of things into consideration. Do you have the means to build this? Do you have what kind of shape is it in? Are you able to do metal work? Now, like I said, you got to take into consideration, buy as much project as you can, because if work's already done that doesn't need done again, you're not going to have to do it. This is an example. Most of the time when you find something like this, it's going to need floors and everything. But look at this. This thing is solid as they come and does not need any metal work as far as floors and quarter panel and stuff like that. So you're way money ahead buying something for a little more money that doesn't need as much work. Now, that in case, like I said, someone had big plans to fixing this up and they completely tore it apart, and they said they used to drive that car. I talked to the lady that used to have that, and they wanted to fix it up, which is cool. But I know life happens, but you just got to take things into consideration, because they completely painted this frame, got a new motor and everything, and it just sat there. So that in case, a lot of things can happen, because they had a business, and I understand, but she said everything is there to that car. So I've been searching, digging through trailers. I am missing the front clip. I am missing the bumpers. I am missing a lot of small stuff. And the important things are there. And like I said, it's got a title and it's solid, so it was worth buying. But I got all these small pieces in the back of this truck that I got to go through. And what goes to the car, what doesn't, I don't really know. So we're going to have to lay out and see what we got. Now, the same goes if you have a project kind of like this. Maybe that's what you need to do. You need to take some time, clean it up, lay out all the parts you have, and get that motivation. And pretend like, say this was your project, and you're like, well, the frame's done, the motor's done, the body doesn't need a whole lot of work. Just pretend like you're buying that project for the first time. Even though you did the 90% of the work, pretend like you bought it, and you're like, wow, all I got to do is 10% more of the work and being able to enjoy this project. you just a lot of things to take into consideration. But on the opposite end, like I said, if you have something sitting there, like all these trucks I have, and you picture what they're worth in your mind. I've heard Dave Ramsey say this. If you have something and you're thinking about selling, but you don't know, picture what it's worth. Okay, realistically, all family heirloom or sentimental stuff aside, okay, it's probably worth this. If you didn't have that, if it never existed, would you give that amount to have that back into your life, even though it's been sitting there in the shop, in the weeds, or whatever? Something to think about. And a lot of times that question may be yes, but a lot of times it's like, well, no, this truck's worth $3,500. I ain't really got $3,500 I want to spend. So if you get that $3,500, maybe you can put it into a project that you like more, and someone else gets to enjoy that project, and you maybe get to see it done or get it go down the road. And that's always a good thing. If we pass things on, people may be able to finish it, or you get family projects. And the main deal is getting this stuff back on the road. So let's do what we can to get more of this stuff back on the road and less weeds growing through it.